Can asking this one question really open up your imagination? It's a short question, just 2 words, but can it really have that big of an effect? Those 2 words, what if? Now, what if's a double-edged sword? What if can be that little devil popping up on your shoulder we talk about, telling you how everything's going to implode in on you and you're going to go bankrupt and the world's going to come to an end. Or it can mean a world of imagination opening up, a world of vastness, a never-ending path to greatness. The way I started on the what if conversation was, and I know we can't see it, but up top on my wall, it says, if you always say what if, you'll never get stuff done. And it's the top of my mountain. We've spoke about the wall before. You can see how each sign on my wall is a step up. And it gets to the top of the mountain. And on the top of the mountain, I envision somebody standing up there with their arms in the air, screaming, yes, I did it! You can't get to the top of the mountain if you're always saying, what if? Because you're never going to get shit done. It's just a fact of life. It's amazing. My son brought me that quote when he was coming home from school one day. And it was at the exact time when I needed the teacher. And the teacher appeared as my 15-year-old son. That's a little crazy, right? But it's true. When the student's ready, the teacher will appear with a message. And this teacher just happened to be my 15-year-old son. He comes running into the front door and he's like, Dad, I got something for your quote book because I have a book here and I write quotes down into this book. Every time I see something inspirational, I write it down so that I can reference it later on and use it in things like this. And he said, I got this quote. And he tells me the quote. If you always say what if, you'll never get shit done. And I'm like, where'd you come up with that? Like, how'd you come up with that? And he's like, well, people are always saying, what if this, what if that? But they're never actually taking action. They're never actually doing it. They're letting what if stop them. And at the moment when he said that to me, I was in a point of life of, should I expand my horizons? Should I really dive into real estate? Should I expand my preschool? Should I go out there and look to create additional streams of income? Because I was comfortable. I was getting by. And everything was quote unquote okay. But that was society's standard. I was listening to society. And I was sitting there saying, well, what if I blow everything up? Like I'm going along, I'm okay right now, but if I try and go out there and get more, I may throw the cart off the tracks. And everything may blow up on me. I was in that what if downward spiral. Because I was listening to society. Society was telling me that if I wanted more, somebody else had to have less. That's not the case. I'm going to do a whole segment on wanting and needing and how wanting creates value for society. At the point that I was in life, though, I didn't understand that. At the point, I was letting that what if devil eat away at me. What if's a double-edged sword, though? It can work both ways. It could work as that devil, or, and thank God I made the transition, it can operate as it opens the door to imagination. It opens the door so that you have a complete blank slate. Anything's possible. Napoleon Hill says, what the mind can conceive, it can achieve. And another great example of that comes from my son. My son, when he was about 13, wanted to create little weapons, right? That's a little dagger. And this is a little, like, hatchet. He wanted to create these. as miniatures. Like that's what he wanted to do. He was drawing them out. He was designing them. He was thinking in his mind. He could have said to himself, what if people make fun of me because I'm creating weapons, right? Like, we're very sensitive to that nowadays. It's actually funny because I got a call from his school that said, your son's drawing knives in class. I'm like, yeah. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, no, that's what he does. He sketches out knives, and then he makes them over the weekend. We have a forge. We literally built a forge, and that's what he does. He's being creative. I'm not going to stop him just because you see a knife and you flip out. No. So my son said, how can I create miniatures? And he was thinking about it, and he took a nail, he put it in the forge, and heated it up, and he shaped it into these miniatures. And he did that on his own. I didn't do this. He came up with that idea because his mind said, what if I could do this? And then he asked, how can I do it? What skill set do I have to learn? What's the process? And he would watch Forged in Fire. And he would replicate what they were doing there. And he just did it in a miniature form. So it really is true that when you open up your imagination, big things can happen. Look around you. You think you'd have a laptop in every single household? Do you think we'd have phones that we walk around with in our pockets? If the inventors of those let that little devil into his ear? The what if imagination, the what if angel, is the person to listen to. It opens up such a world of imagination. Imagination for the iPod, imagination for the cell phone, imagination for FedEx. Think about FedEx. We get packages. That didn't always happen. Overnight packages didn't always happen. Somebody had to imagine that. Somebody had to say, what if we could deliver a package next day? How would that add value to people's lives? That's what I'm doing with this channel right here. I said to myself, what if we could create 112 million freedom thinkers? Freedom thinkers. People that think for themselves. People that shut out the noise of society and society's wokenism. Oh, you're bad if you think this. Oh, you're bad if you think that. Oh, you got to think this way. No. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to create value for people. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be a freedom thinker. Do you realize that the news is predominantly negative? And it's predominantly negative because it captures our attention. But what it also does is that negativity keeps us in a state of like a deer in a headlight, like frozen. We're not sure what to do. The news and politicians specifically want to keep a sense of chaos because a confused mind will always say no. And I want to break people out of that. If I could go out there and just slap people around and grab them and shake them, I do fire drills, right? I do fire drills. And I tell my people, specifically my people, that if there's ever a fire in the preschool, that you have to do certain things. And one of those things are, if we still have a staff member that didn't get out, right? Like if we have somebody that unfortunately gets stuck in the fire, I want you at the door making noise. And what I'm going to do is when I get there, I'm going to come up to you, I'm going to grab you, and I'm going to shake you out. I'm going to shake you. And I'm shaking them out of the shock they're in. I was walking around, years ago, I was walking around in a fog. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what my purpose was. That's because I was in a state of chaos. Every time I turned on the radio or the television, I was in this fog of chaos. Like, the world is coming to an end. There's always something. Wildland fires, riots, COVID, the stock market's crash, and the housing crash. I'm not saying that some of these things aren't legit and concerning. But what I am saying is, I can't let it stop me. So what if I could get people to think for themselves? What if I could get people to formulate their own thoughts free from the chaos? Right now, if you walked around and you asked who you're voting for, some people would say, I'm voting for Trump, and they wouldn't be able to back that up. Other people would say, I'm voting for Harris, and they wouldn't be able to back that up. Why are you voting? Are you voting because of stuff that you heard, or are you voting based upon that actual candidate's character? What they have done in the past. They both have track records. Are you comparing what they've done in the past? Not what the news tells you that they have done. Not what the TikTok memes tell you what they have done. But actually going out and researching what their true stance is. And not the words they're using now in the campaign. Because now they'll say anything to get your vote. But what have they done in the past? What has their actions been in the past? Have they said they were going to do something and they carried that out? Looking at the actual facts and researching them for yourself. Verifying things that you hear. That's how you become a freedom thinker. And that's what my purpose in life is right now. Because if we can think for ourselves, we can then go out and create the life we want. I believe we're only one alignment away from that life. One comment, one article, one email, one YouTube video. We can create whatever we want, but we have to have the confidence and the courage to go out and do it. We have to believe in the what if I could create value for people? What if I could change people's lives? What if I could make people's lives better? What if I could make people's lives easier? What if I could make people's lives so good that they have a sense of calmness in their life? That's an amazing thing. That's how you use what if. That's where imagination is created. Facebook, right? Love it or hate it, Facebook was founded on imagination. What if we could create a platform that all the students could talk to each other on? That was adding value to people's lives. That was helping people. And that happened to balloon into the massive company that Facebook is right now. So what if is a great question to open up your imagination. What if this could happen? All the greats did it. Henry Ford, Rockefeller, Carnegie, Jobs, all the greats did it. Bill Gates. At some point in time, he had that goal, and it may have been a selfish goal back then. I don't know. I'm not Bill, but he had the goal of putting a laptop or a computer, a desktop in every house. Opening up the world to people, the internet. It's an amazing thing that can happen when you ask yourself, what if? So I challenge you to this question. Answer this question for me today. If we took everything off the table, if we took society's pressures out of the equation, if we took money out of the equation, if we took time out of the equation, what would you create? How would you change the world? Guys, we live in the numerator. Oh, I don't even have my shirt on. We live in the numerator, not the denominator. I want you to go out there today and be unstoppable and absolutely crush your day. I love spending time with you guys. Have a very blessed day.